Hi everyone, welcome to Ask Alan. This is episode 22, so we're approaching the 6th month mark, which is really fantastic. We love doing Ask Alan. We love getting all the questions in, and all of us, myself and the whole of the team, always look over them, and it's really, really nice to look at all these questions and get the answers to you. So let's start the episode. Question 1. I've recently had to change from raw to kibble due to financial reasons. Should I be adding anything to the kibble? The short answer is you don't have to, on the assumption you're feeding a complete kibble. If you're feeding a complementary kibble, you'd need to add it, but they're few and far between. So let's just make the assumption you're feeding a complete kibble. And when we say kibble, we're talking about dry food. But you can definitely add stuff if you want to. A great example would be sprats, for example. You're going to get the omega-3s and 6s that boost the diet and be really good for older dogs in particular. Well, really good for any dog actually. And you can add, if you want to, a little bit of extra fibre in the form of something like broccoli. So you can definitely add to dry food, but you don't have to. Also bear in mind, I'm looking at this question, you're making the switch from kibble from raw to kibble for financial reasons. Obviously anything you add to it will be an extra cost, so bear that in mind. But something like sprats, for example, it's not going to cost you a lot to add a couple of sprats on the top of the raw food. Question 2. My puppy spaniel is 5 months old, but I can't find any food he will eat other than if I cook for him. This is one of the most common questions we get asked. If you were to stand here on a Saturday, you'd probably find we get asked this, not specifically about spaniels, but dogs of this age, probably 5 to 10 times just on a Saturday. Now, you'll probably find it's not to do with the food you're feeding. It's probably down to just the amount of calories. At 5 months, my guess is, and it's an educated guess, that your spaniel has slowed down their growth. So they don't need to eat as much. And the reason they don't need to eat as much is they've been going really, really quickly, growing really quickly for the first part of their life. And as they get older, that growth slows down. And eventually, when we get to 10, 12 months, then that's going to stop their growth and just onto maintenance feeding. So although 5 months is quite young, and although we still need to feed them a reasonable amount, it's probably down to the amount of food you're trying to give. You can get caught in this trap of cooking for them and always giving them exactly what they want, and you might not want to cook for them, and nutritionally it might not be balanced as well. So bear that in mind. I think with this particular question, come and speak to us. We can talk about how we're going to reduce the amount of food that you're feeding, and that will often solve it. Question 3. I've been told I have to feed tripe if I feed raw. Do I really have to? I really feel for the person who's asked this question. I've spent the last 15 years putting tripe in freezers, and it isn't the nicest smell. It isn't the nicest product out there. You are right that loads and loads of dogs absolutely love tripe, and it is got a lot of benefits to it, but you don't have to feed tripe. We have a vast amount of customers who don't ever feed tripe to their dogs. So if you're feeding tripe, nice short answer. Sorry, if you're feeding raw, you don't have to feed tripe within that. You can obviously, but you definitely don't have to. Question 4. Can I feed my cat just dry food? You can. Dry food, especially if you're feeding a balanced and complete dry food, you can get away with it nutritionally. My concern is going to come when we talk about moisture. So cats very often won't free drink. They won't go and drink. And even if they do, what we really want for a cat is to be able to get the moisture within their food. That's much more natural for them and much better for them. That doesn't mean you have to feed raw, but you do have to feed. In my view, I'm not going to say you have to feed a pouch or raw alongside a dry food, but I really would recommend it. You'll find over the year of the dog's life, the cat's life, you'll find that they are going to be that much healthier if you feed a wet based food alongside it, whether that's raw or pouch food. It really does make a massive amount of difference. We love cats getting their moisture, or a lot of their moisture, from their food. And that concludes episode 22. Thank you for all the questions, some fantastic questions there. And remember, don't stop getting your questions in. We love answering them. See you soon.